when it feels like it's real love. And I know how it feels on Cedar Block, girl, yeah. Do you know what you do? Do you know what you do to me? Do you know what you do? Do you know what you do to me? On Cedar Block, Cedar Block. Cedar Block.
Chapter 1. When Destiny Pulls Up. Cedar Block wasn't the kind of place people moved into. It was the type of place people spent their whole lives trying to move out of. But on a warm June afternoon, a white Honda Accord rolled slow down the cracked pavement, tires dodging potholes like landmines. Inside sat Serenity Vale, windows down, braids swinging in the breeze, the scent of vanilla lotion floating through the car. She squinted at the street signs, frustrated. Up ahead, a garage door stood open, the dull bass of 90 Seconds R&B humming from inside. A tall, brown-skinned man leaned over a black Dodge Charger, grease-stained hands working under the hood. Tattoos ran down his forearms, sweat glinting off his temple in the sun. Malik Carter. Serenity's car made a choking noise, then gave up completely. She drifted right to the curb right in front of the open garage and smacked the steering wheel. Malik glanced up, wiped his hands on a rag and walked over, eyes calm, voice low and smooth. Serenity looked up and damn near forgot how to breathe. He was fine, not movie star fine, hood fine. The kind that made you forget your own last name. Malik raised an eyebrow. She blinked. "You know my aunt?" He smirked. They both smiled at the same time, and for a second, it felt like the whole block went quiet. Serenity climbed out and did. Malik leaned in, checking wires, belts, the works. After a beat, he nodded. She sighed, already stressed. Malik shook his head. Serenity blinked. Malik closed the hood gently and gave her a final glance. The kind that says, "I see you." And just like that, Destiny pulled up on Cedar Block. Chapter 2. The look that said too much. It was barely noon when Serenity ducked into the corner store on 87th, just trying to grab some bottled water and get out. The sun was already disrespectful, and her hair was sticking to the back of her neck. She moved quick, hoodie up, low-key, but even Cedar's smallest store had eyes. Old heads posted up by the freezer aisle, teenagers arguing over hot Cheetos, and behind the counter, Miss Glenda watching everybody like her eyeballs had security clearance. Serenity moved past the soda coolers when the bell above the door chimed. She didn't even look until she heard that same voice from the garage. He stepped in like the block moved with him, white tee, dark jeans, keys clipped to his belt loop, same calm in his face like nothing could touch him. Serenity froze by the Gatorade. He spotted her immediately, gave her a slight nod like he was used to women stopping mid-step when he walked in. She tried to act normal, but it was useless. Malik walked up next to her and grabbed a red Gatorade without looking, then smirked. "You following me?" he asked. She raised a brow. "In your dreams," he chuckled low. "Could be worse things." It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. Like the words meant something underneath, and her body heard them before her mind caught up. As they walked to the counter, Glenda glanced between them like she already saw a future neither of them had admitted to. Malik paid for both drinks without asking, handed hers over, and their fingers touched. Brief. Too brief. "You good out here?" he asked as she opened the bottle. "I'm good," she said. But she wasn't. She was hot, flustered, and 100% not ready for the way his eyes stayed on her even after she turned away. Outside, they walked opposite directions, but Serenity felt it, the weight of his gaze behind her. The kind of look that said too much even when nothing got said at all. Chapter 3. Heat in the night. Cedar Block hummed with that summertime static barking dogs, muffled bass from parked cars, and the occasional laugh that didn't last long. Serenity sat curled on her aunt's porch, sipping peach tea under a thin blanket, soaking in a rare moment of stillness. That stillness broke the second Malik pulled up, his Charger growling low as he parked like he owned the concrete. He climbed out in all black, locks pulled back, eyes already on her. He wasn't loud, wasn't flashy, just calm, real. They shared a few quiet words on the porch steps, their conversation soft and close, until the silence between them said more than either of them would. Then came the shots. Quick, dirty, too close. Glass shattered from Serenity's hand as Malik jumped up, already pulling her inside. Gunfire cracked the night like dry wood snapping in half. He dragged her down behind the hallway wall, heart pounding, eyes scanning the street through the front blinds. A black Impala tore past. Malik muttered Ghost's name like a curse. Serenity's voice cracked when she said his name too. And just like that, the air shifted. She realized Malik hadn't really left the streets, not all the way, and now the war he tried to bury had followed her home. Sirens wailed, painting the walls in red and blue. Serenity shook not just from the violence, but from the betrayal of it. "You said you were out," she whispered. Malik didn't offer excuses, just a quiet promise he'd protect her. But his voice, it wasn't confident, it was haunted, like a man trying to keep his soul from slipping between two worlds. Outside, neighbors cried, glass crunched, and Cedar Block reminded them, peace is a fragile thing. They stood there, hearts thudding, sweat beating on their foreheads in that too small hallway. Neither spoke, because what was there to say? Serenity wasn't sure who she just invited into her life. And Malik, he wasn't sure if he could keep her safe from the ghost he used to ride with. One thing was clear. The block had spoken. And love, real love, was about to cost more than either of them expected. Chapter 4. Confessions in the Dark. The night after the shooting, the air in Bernice's house was heavy. Serenity couldn't sleep. She sat on the living room couch with a blanket wrapped around her legs, heart still wired from the chaos. Malik knocked softly on the screen door, just past midnight, hat low, eyes tired. She didn't want to let him in, but she didn't want him out there either. She opened the door. He stepped inside like the floor didn't quite belong to him. Hands in his pockets, silence between them stretched thin. They sat across from each other in the dark, the only light coming from the street lamp outside. Serenity broke first. "You said you were out." Her voice wasn't loud. It was disappointed. Hurt in the kind of way that sinks under the ribs. Malik leaned forward, elbows on knees. I was. Ghost just, he don't care who's around when he starts shit. His voice was low, like he hated every word he had to say. Then he told her about the past. Not all of it, but enough. He and Dre used to run the block. Close. Wild. Until Malik walked away after a job went too far. Until blood got on hands that couldn't be washed clean. Serenity listened, face unreadable. When he finished, she didn't speak right away, just looked at him like she was trying to see the man beneath the damage. "You ever kill somebody?" she asked quietly. Malik hesitated. "I ain't proud of what I've done." It wasn't yes, It wasn't no, but it was honest. And in the quiet that followed, something shifted. He wasn't a fantasy anymore. He was real, scarred, human, and even though part of her screamed to run, another part, the deeper part, stayed sitting right there. By the time she finally leaned her head on his shoulder, neither of them had spoken in 10 full minutes. They just breathed in sync. No kisses, no promises. Just shared silence like two people finally realizing that sometimes the only way out is through. And sometimes love starts right after the ugly truth spills out. Chapter 5. Loyalty ties and street lies. The block was buzzing again, not with gunfire this time, but whispers. Folks had questions. Who got hit in the drive-by? Who was the target? Was it Ghost? Was it Malik? And through all the rumors and corner talk, Serenity walked with her hoodie up and headphones in, trying to block out the noise. But inside, she was a storm. Malik hadn't texted her all morning. He hadn't shown up at the shop. That silence was louder than the shots that rang out 2 nights ago. Meanwhile, Malik stood in Ghost trap house walls, stained with cigarette smoke and paranoia. Ghost leaned against the kitchen counter like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't just put Malik and Serenity in the line of fire. You soft now, huh? Ghost grinned. That what love do to you? Malik's jaw clenched. He wasn't back in the life he was checking Ghost, trying to make things clear. But the longer he stood there, the more it felt like the old version of him, the one with blood on his hands, was crawling back up from under his skin. Back at the house, Serenity was staring out the window, waiting. When Malik finally showed up, grease on his hands and regret in his eyes, she met him at the door with her arms crossed. You still talking to him? She asked. No accusations. Just truth hunting. Malik nodded. I needed to handle it. That wasn't enough for her. You ain't gotta fix the streets, you just gotta pick. He didn't respond right away, and that silence, that said everything. Serenity walked back inside without another word. The door didn't slam. It clicked. Malik sat on the porch for a long time after that, hands laced behind his head, watching the same sky he used to post under back when all he cared about was survival. Now he cared about her, about peace. But peace don't come free. And the street don't like when you turn your back on it, especially not if your back's wide open. Chapter 6. Your heart or your hood? The next time Malik saw a Ghost, it wasn't at a trap. It was at his own garage. Ghost sitting on the hood of a car like he still had keys to Malik's life. One job, Ghost said, flicking ash from a blunt. Just ride with me. We drop something off. Quick bag. Malik didn't answer right away. Ghost could feel it, the hesitation, the pull. You act like this girl gonna save you or something, Ghost laughed. You think she gonna stay when she find out who you really are? Malik didn't laugh back. Because deep down, he wasn't sure either. That night, Malik came home late. Real late. Serenity was on the couch, still in scrubs, her eyes rimmed red from waiting. You smell like smoke, she said without looking at him. He stood there, not knowing how to explain what he didn't even have words for. I'm trying, he said finally. To do what? She asked. To be a better man. For you. For us. She stared at him a long time, then nodded. Then act like it. 'Cause right now you walking like you trying to keep one foot in hell and one in my bed. The words cut deeper than either of them admitted out loud. Malik didn't sleep that night. He sat outside on the porch, hoodie pulled low, staring at the pavement like it owed him answers. He thought about all the people he'd lost, all the blood he'd seen, and he thought about Serenity's voice, soft but strong, the kind of strength that didn't scream, the kind that stayed when things got ugly. And suddenly, Ghost's bag didn't feel like fast money. It felt like a weight. By morning, Malik sent a text. I'm out. No details, no explanation, just a boundary. Ghost never responded, but that silence, it said a storm was brewing, and Malik knew the streets don't let go easy. You either walk away quick or you get pulled back slower than you realize. The clock had started, the choice was made, but the consequences, they were already coming. Chapter 7. The night everything changed. It started like any other night, too quiet. Malik was closing up the garage, sweat on his neck, hoodie damp from the work. Serenity had just finished a shift and texted that she was heading home. Malik looked at that message twice. Something felt off. The street lights buzzed wrong. The air was too still. He didn't even get the door halfway shut before the first shot ripped through the quiet. Then came another and another. Glass shattered, tires squealed. A scream punched the air like a warning bell. Serenity was around the corner. Wrong place, wrong time. A stray bullet punched into the side of a building just feet from her as she hit the ground, crawling behind a parked car. Malik's heart stopped when he saw the chaos from down the block. He ran, not thinking, just moving. He dropped to his knees beside her, pulled her behind the tire well, his own body covering hers as the world exploded around them. Her hands clutched his hoodie, eyes wide, breath trembling. I'm okay, she whispered. I'm okay. He didn't believe it till he saw it. No blood, just fear, the kind that sits in your bones. When the shot stopped, Malik stood slowly. The shooters were gone, but the damage was done. Windows broken, neighbors crying, and in the distance, Dragos McLean standing on the corner, smirking like none of this touched him, like Malik's life was still his to play with. Malik stared at him across the concrete, didn't speak, didn't move. But in that moment, something inside him broke. Not his love for Serenity, no, that stayed. What snapped was his patience. Serenity didn't say a word the whole walk back to her house. She didn't have to. The silence was louder than the gunfire. Malik kissed her forehead before he left soft, like a goodbye. Then he turned toward the street with that old look in his eyes. Not scared, not tired, just cold. Because the streets just drew first blood. And Malik Carter wasn't built to bleed twice without biting back. Chapter 8. When Loving You Hurts. The morning after the shots, Serenity didn't go to class. She sat at the kitchen table staring at her untouched cup of coffee while Bernice moved around the house pretending not to notice. But the truth hung heavy. She could still smell Malik's cologne on her hoodie, still feel the heat of his body shielding hers, still hear the echoes of gunshots chasing her heartbeat. But more than fear, she felt doubt. Not in how she felt about Malik, that part was real. But whether love was enough to survive a war, she didn't start. Malik didn't text her that day, didn't call, didn't show. And that silence, it screamed. What Serenity didn't know was that Malik was posted in his garage, hands covered in grease, but getting nothing done. His mind ran Loop's ghost smirk, Serenity's terrified eyes, the sound of her whispering, I'm okay, when she clearly wasn't. He hated that it happened near her, hated himself for letting it happen at all. But more than anything, he hated the question playing in his own head. Did I just bring her into the life I swore I left? That night, Serenity showed up at his door. No words, just stood there, backpack on one shoulder, eyes tired. I need to not be alone, she whispered. Malik stepped aside. She came in, sat on the edge of his couch. He sat next to her. Not touching. Not yet. I'm not built for this, she said quietly. I know, he replied. I wish I could promise it won't happen again, but I can't, and I hate that. Her eyes filled, not from weakness from the weight of wanting someone who came with too much damage. They didn't kiss that night, didn't make love. They laid in the dark, backs touching, breaths in rhythm. And in that space between them was a truth neither of them could unfeel, that sometimes love hurts. Not because it's fake, but because it's real and the world around it ain't. Chapter 9. You worth fighting for. Malik woke up before the Sunday Serenity was still asleep on his couch, curls messy, blanket half off her shoulder. He watched her for a second, not in a creep way, just grateful. She was still here. After all the gunfire, the danger, the silence between them, she stayed. But that made the weight heavier. He couldn't let this be her life. Not because she was weak, but because she deserved more than trauma with a side of loyalty. He stepped outside, hoodie pulled tight, and dialed a number he hadn't touched in years. By noon, Malik was sitting in front of Miss Mayfield at the credit union, asking about business loans. He wanted to flip the garage, legit real papers, insurance, a website, the whole thing. She looked at him like he was crazy, but he showed her receipts, photos, past work. I'm tired of living like I got one foot in the grave and one in the streets, he said. I got someone worth building for. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't easy. But the fire in his voice made her slide the paperwork across the desk. Back at the house, Serenity was folding her clothes to leave. She didn't want to, but she also didn't want to stay if Malik was going to keep feeding two wolves, love and loyalty. When she opened the door, Malik was on the steps, holding a greasy folder and two smoothies. Don't leave yet, he said, breathing hard like he ran there. I filed paperwork. Business loan. Legit shop. I'm done with Ghost. For real this time. Serenity stared, lips parted. She didn't trust easily, but something in his eyes said this wasn't just words. She stepped aside. Let him in. They sat at the table again, hands touching this time. You did all that today? She asked. Before noon. He nodded. Because I ain't losing you over a man who don't value life. She didn't smile, not yet, but she exhaled like she hadn't breathed in days. And under that quiet, Malik Carter was becoming something the streets never trained him to be, accountable. And that hit deeper than any bullet ever could. Chapter 10, Hood Royalty, Our New Beginning. For once, Cedar Block was quiet, not in that hold your breath kind of way, but in that rare golden hour calm that settles after a storm. Serenity walked with Malik to his garage, now fully cleaned out, paperwork taped to the office door like a trophy. Carter Customs S. Today, the new sign read, spray, painted by Tia's cousin, sharp and bold. Malik had a fresh set of tools. His name was on the books. He wasn't hustling anymore. He was hustling right. And Serenity was there, smiling low-key behind him, watching him shine. Their days started different now. Mornings meant smoothies, not hangovers. Malik would wipe oil from his hands to kiss her forehead. Serenity studied for her nursing boards in the break room between appointments. They'd eat takeout from the corner spot, laugh about Bernice's wild gossip, and play spades late with Tia and her latest situationship. It felt solid. Not perfect, but solid. And on this block, that was royalty. Hood royalty. No crowns needed, just trust, time, and 10 toes down. But peace, Malik knew, didn't last forever in places like this. Ghost hadn't been around, but his absence was loud. Malik kept his head on swivel, never walking with both earbuds in, never forgetting how fast a man's past could circle the block. He wasn't scared, but he was ready. And more than that, he was rooted. Serenity wasn't a fantasy anymore. She was home. And for the first time in a long time, Malik was building something that couldn't be knocked down with bullets. One night, Serenity leaned on his shoulder under a porch light and whispered, "I never saw myself staying here." He kissed her hand, soft and certain. "You not just staying, you owning something now. This yours too." She didn't say anything, just smiled, that quiet smile that meant everything. And in that moment, beneath the cracked skies of Cedar Block, two people with baggage, scars, and heavy past started a brand new chapter. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Chapter 11, back like it never left. It had been 3 weeks of peace. Business was steady. Serenity passed her nursing boards, and Malik's garage was getting buzz from word of mouth. They even started talking about moving into a place of their own, just talk. Not plans yet, but still, it was real. That's why it hit so heavy when Malik stepped outside one morning and saw a black duffel bag sitting on the hood of his Charger. No note, no explanation, just a symbol. One Malik understood the moment he saw the initials stitched into the side. D.M. Dre McClain. Ghost hadn't disappeared. He'd just been waiting, watching. The bag was full of cash, easy money from dirty hands. It was bait, and Malik knew it. But still, he stared at it too long. Long enough for old instincts to whisper, "You could flip this." Fast. When Serenity came out and saw it, she didn't yell. She just looked at him like she was watching the man she loved teeter on the edge again. "You already chose," she said, voice flat. "Don't start second guessing now." Malik didn't touch the bag. He tossed it back in the alley, zipped up untouched. But the damage was already creeping in. That night, his shop was tagged red spray paint across the front gate. "You forgot who made you." Serenity saw it before he did and called thanks in advance, shaking. Malik brushed it off like it didn't faze him, but deep down he knew the message wasn't just for him, it was for her too. Ghost wasn't aiming to kill him. He wanted to undo him. Malik sat in the garage that night with the lights off, a wrench in one hand and a burner in the other. He wasn't looking for a fight, but if one came to his door, he wouldn't run from it either. And just like that, peace turned fragile. Ghost had re-entered the game, and this time, he was playing for keeps. Chapter 12, we ain't running. Malik didn't want to tell Serenity how bad things were getting, but she already knew when your man starts sleeping with his shoes on and keeps a pistol within arm's reach of the shower, you don't need to ask questions. You already know the war's circling back. The tagging on the garage, the duffel bag, that was just the intro. And Malik was tired of reacting. He told Serenity one night as they lay in bed, backs to each other, but both wide awake, "If it come to us or him, I'm picking us. Every time." She didn't say a word, but she turned over and pulled his hand onto her chest, right over her heartbeat. The next day, Malik changed the locks on the shop, set up cameras, started pulling favors from people he used to run with, not to ride with him, but to get intel. Who was Ghost working with? What was he planning? Meanwhile, Serenity called thanks in advance and put together a quiet plan of her own, a safe apartment on the west side, under her name, fully furnished, just in case things got too hot. It wasn't about being scared, it was about being ready. And that's the difference between surviving and losing. One night, Malik came home to find Serenity in the kitchen cleaning his gun, carefully, like it was her stethoscope. He froze in the doorway. "What you doing?" he asked. She didn't look up. "If you gonna fight for us, I'm not gonna act like I ain't part of this. I'm not leaving. So either we stand 10 toes down or we stop calling this love." Malik had never looked at her like that before. Not with lust, not with longing, but with something deeper, respect. And that's when it shifted. This wasn't Malik protecting Serenity anymore. This was them protecting each other. No more secrets. No more tiptoeing around danger like it wouldn't knock. Malik knew Ghost was coming. It was just a matter of when. But this time, the door wouldn't swing open on weakness. If Ghost brought heat, he was going to feel the fire they built first. Chapter 13, The Fire This Time. It was just after midnight when the flames started licking the side of the garage. Malik was inside, doing a final check on the inventory tools organized, paperwork clipped, everything clean like he was prepping for the next chapter of life. Then came the smell sharp, chemical, wrong. He turned toward the back just as the window exploded inward. Molotov. The whole wall lit up like hell, opened a side door. Malik kicked through the smoke, tried to reach the extinguisher, but it was too late. Heat pressed against his skin, thick black smoke flooding his lungs. His chest burned, vision blurred, and the only thing he could think about was Serenity, not the garage, not the money, just her. He stumbled toward the front door, but the flames were climbing fast, greedy, and wild. He collapsed near the exit, coughing, eyes stinging. Then, a scream. Malik. Serenity was outside barefoot, in a robe, running across the street. Tia had called her when the cameras picked up movement. She didn't wait. She just ran. Two neighbors helped her yank the door open, drag Malik out by his hoodie. He was half conscious, shirt scorched, eyes rolling back. "I got you," she kept saying, hands on his chest, lips at his ear. "I got you. I got you." But in her voice was panic, the kind that breaks bones from the inside out. Because love ain't supposed to feel like watching someone die. The ambulance lights flashed against the brick walls of Cedar Block like blue lightning. Malik faded in and out on the stretcher. And across the street, in the shadows near a busted street lamp, Ghost stood watching, hoodie up, eyes cold, jaw locked. He didn't run. He didn't blink. He just watched it burn. And in that moment, Serenity knew this wasn't about the garage. This was about her. Ghost wasn't just trying to punish Malik. He was trying to erase the only thing keeping him human. Chapter 14, Real Love Don't Fold. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft beep of the monitor and the low hum of machines doing what Malik's body couldn't do on its own yet. Serenity sat at his bedside, hoodie still faintly smelling like smoke, fingers laced in his firm, like if she let go, he might slip away. He hadn't opened his eyes since they pulled him out the fire, but he was breathing. That was enough. For now, she whispered stories in his ear, nonsense stuff just to fill the silence, childhood memories, what her dream house looked like, how she wasn't going anywhere. Malik woke up sometime after 4 a.m., groggy, raw, burned bandages on his arms and chest. His first word wasn't what happened. It was, "You okay?" Serenity broke, not into tears, into something deeper. She leaned in close, hand on his cheek, and kissed his forehead like a vow. "You almost died trying to protect something you built," she said. "Next time, let me protect you too." He tried to smile, but it hurt. She smiled for both of them. That's what love is, sometimes holding the joy when the other person can't. Tia showed up later with food, extra clothes, and attitude. She stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes wet but pretending like they weren't. "Y'all some dramatic-ass soulmates," she muttered, trying to keep it light. But when she looked at Malik, her voice softened. "You scared the hell out of us, bro." Malik nodded once, slow. "He ain't done yet," Serenity added. "But neither are we." That's when Malik asked for a pen. He signed the final paperwork for the business, right there in that bed, burned hand shaking, but steady where it counted. Later that night, as the city calmed and the meds kicked in, Serenity curled up beside him on the edge of the bed. No doctors saw, no nurses stopped her. Because some things like real love don't fold just because life gets heavy. They mold, they stretch, they hold. And sometimes they heal. Chapter 15, Cedar Block Royalty. Malik came home from the hospital with gauze on his ribs and fire in his eyes. Serenity stayed by his side every step, pushing his wheelchair even when he insisted he could walk, holding his pride when his legs couldn't. The block was different now. People nodded at him with respect. The garage was boarded up, but the whispers were shifting not. Malik used to be wild, but Malik's building something. And for once, the weight didn't sit on his shoulders alone. He had a woman beside him, not just in love, but in loyalty, in vision, in fire. 2 weeks later, Serenity stood in the middle of that same garage, newly clean, freshly painted, and smelling like fresh rubber and second chances. Malik called her name, and when she turned around, he was down on one knee. No ring box, no audience. Just grease on his fingers and truth in his eyes. I don't got a lot of perfect in me, he said. But whatever I got, it's yours. Marry me, Serenity. She didn't cry, didn't gasp. She just nodded, slow and sure, like she'd been waiting her whole life to say yes to something that felt this real. Malik slipped a small, simple ring on her finger, gold, warm, and his. They didn't call anybody right away, didn't post it, didn't rush to celebrate. Instead, they sat on the shop floor, backs to the wall, eating takeout and talking about baby names and business licenses. Cedar Block might not be paradise, but it was theirs. They weren't running from the hood, they were rebuilding in it. From burnt down dreams to blueprints, from scars to signatures, from ride or die to stay and build. But just as Malik closed the garage for the night, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, no text, just a photo. He opened it. The screen lit up with a picture of Serenity taken from behind at the grocery store just hours earlier. The caption read, "You thought I was finished?" Malik stared at the screen, his jaw clenched, his hand didn't shake. Ghost wasn't gone. He was watching, and the next game was already in play.
Put my heart on a brick road. Yeah, the path I was traveling got lost. Got nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Do you mind if I stop by? Just trying to make it to the other side. The road is closed. Got nowhere to go. I'm coming to see you. Need some love on Cedar Block. Love on Cedar Block. You know I need you. Want some love on Cedar Block. Love on Cedar Block.